never told a soul. Just like my uncle threatened me, he told me I better take it to my grave, but I didn't. And I'm glad, because if I had taken it to my grave, it wouldn't have given others the opportunity to reclaim their lives, to tell their stories. But a lot of people want to know why. Why didn't you tell? Why didn't you do something? You know, it's so easy to ask why when you're not in the situation. I was scared. I was embarrassed. I come from a very big and happy family. We loved each other. We had family gatherings, social events at our church. We laughed a lot. We traveled. We went on trips together. I was so close with my cousins. I didn't want to lose that. That's why. So I suffered. I suffered in silence for over 35 years. My brother, he's always been my best friend, and I could always tell him anything, but not even him. I came so close, so many times, but I was scared. My uncle, he stole my virginity.
I had no idea any of this was going on. Came from a single parent home. Our mother was a great mother who provided all our needs. They say we like for any of our boys. She would let me get away with a little bit more than she would Claudia since I was a male. Claudia went all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade without missing a day of school. Our mother would make sure she pronounced her words, present speeches, study hard, and we now see that she was preparing her for it.
My mom always tells my sister and I how smart she was growing up. She loves to brag about being smart, but of course it gives us a little insight into her childhood and also lets us know how we became so smart as well. But she talks about how in middle school she maintained an A average. She was in the beta club, but then when she got to high school, she wasn't able to be in the beta club because algebra just wouldn't let her be great. But she did maintain a B average overall, despite that algebra grade. Then, future homemakers of America, she won first place nationally and second place in the state. And so then, after graduating from high school, my mom then transitioned and became married and pregnant with me at 19. She recently told us that she became pregnant, well, married first and then pregnant as a way to escape the abuse that she was enduring during her childhood. It wasn't necessarily because she was in love, but really, again, she was looking for a way to escape the abuse. So she was only married that first time for 3 years before she divorced. Later, she began working for the Postal Service, and she was a top employee there as well, doing data entry. But shortly after, her sickle cell led her to not being able to work. It was then that she married her second husband and was afforded the opportunity to stay home because of her sickle cell disease. And together they built a successful trucking business until some bad decisions on his part led them to be financially incapable of taking care of the household. And then ultimately, we unfortunately became homeless. That then led my mom to have to transition, and make some tough decisions again in her life, which were unfortunate. And then she rented a home from my uncle.
My name is Terrence Burney, and today I'll be talking about my Aunt Claudia / my mom. So I moved to North Carolina with my Aunt Claudia when I was about 11, 12, and she just changed my whole upbringing. She taught me how to have faith in God, how to be respectful, how if you get in trouble, you're going to get disciplined a lot. I remember summers where we used to just do schoolwork all summer. Then she would reward us with candy, and we'll go to the skating ring, we'll go to the movies. She always rewarded us for doing good things, and she disciplined us when we didn't do right either. but that made us the people we are today. Everybody that was raised around her is doing good in life and very respectful, and our faith is strong in God. And my Claudia, she was like so big in the church. All the kids would look up to my Claudia. They all would look at her as an auntie. Like she's just been that neighborhood hero to all of us around in Council, North Carolina. And the one thing that I just love so much about my Claudia is like she's loving, and she's a hustler. She's an entrepreneur. So she's always gonna figure out how to get the money. I can't even recall a time that I ever seen my Claudia going through a hard time. I know it's probably possible, but she never showed it to us. That's just how strong of a woman she was. I just look at her as Superwoman, and I love you, Aunt Claudia. I'm so proud of you. I just want you to keep going and keep doing great things, and I love you.
My mother is one of the strongest people I know. I've seen her at her highest and at her lowest, and she's always maintained a smile. I distinctly remember when we were wrongfully evicted. My mom had been renting a house from my uncle at the time, faithfully paying her rent on time every month. Now that's one thing she is not gonna play about. She gonna pay those bills on time. But apparently my uncle was not using the money to pay the mortgage, and eventually eviction notices were coming one after the other. Ultimately, we lost our home and had to move in with my grandmother. I was young then, in the 9th grade or so. But now as an adult and as a mom, I can only imagine how my mom felt being a single mom of 3, having to uproot her family and move in with her mom. She was doing everything right and nothing wrong, but still ended up with the short end of the stick. How do you learn to trust after a situation like that?
I know Claudia because we grew up in the same community called Council, North Carolina, where everyone knew everybody, but it was so small it wasn't even a stoplight in that community. I really didn't talk to Claudia when we was coming up as children. I only seen her when we had church events, maybe a choir anniversary or something like that. But for me, I always thought she was bougie.
My mom has many health issues, with sickle cell and uveitis topping the list. Oddly enough, my mom found out she had sickle cell when she was in labor with me. She was going through a sickle cell crisis, and no one could figure out what was wrong. The doctor said we both almost died. My mom gets monthly blood transfusions and eye injections to manage her uveitis. I remember my mom getting Port's place, and Xandra had a fashion show in Atlantic City 2 days after my mom's surgery. We suggested to my mom that she stays home, but she said no, she wanted to come. Although we knew my mom was in pain, she still persevered. Nothing stops her.
In 2006, my mom married a man who lived in Richmond, and we found ourselves packing up and moving from North Carolina to start our new lives in Richmond, Virginia. Of course, none of us were really enthused about the move. All of us, meaning my sisters and I, basically. North Carolina was the only home we had ever known. I was 15 years old at the time, and so starting a new life in a new state away from our family was a bit of a challenge for me specifically. However, we moved, and soon enough, my mom revealed to my sisters and I during a gruesome separation that her soon-to-be ex-husband was physically abusive. I had never witnessed the physical abuse myself. However, he definitely did display signs of emotional abuse, and so he had a temper as well. I specifically remember one time we were living in a house that actually required oil to heat the house, and he refused to buy heat, leaving us to shiver in the cold while he went and stayed at his parents' house. There was another time I was working on a school assignment, And this was during the time where you actually had to plug the Ethernet cable into the wall to get internet. And he purposely came and yanked the Ethernet cord out of the wall, looked at me and said, "Oops." And so, of course, I lost the work that I was working on during that time. And there were several other instances of, him having a temper and displaying signs of abuse as well. So eventually we packed up, moved to a different house, and that put my mom in a position to return to the workforce. She had previously been ordered to stay out of work due to her having sickle cell disease. And so now here we were in a new state with no family around, and my mom was left to kind of pick up the pieces again and figure life out all over. But being the strong woman that she is, that's exactly what she did. She picked up the pieces, she figured it out. She got a job as a home health aide, and because cost of living was essentially twice as much in Virginia as it was in North Carolina, my mom began working 80 hours per week just to make ends meet, to take care of my sisters and me.
When I first met Claudia in 2010, it was as two ships passing in the night, yet destined for so much more. We greeted one another in the service area of a local car dealership while handling business. A brief greeting and exchange revealed our paths had crossed a time earlier at a very unique location, church. Time will reveal to me that we often entertain heavenly angels here on earth. That's who I met in Claudia Burney, an angel. Observing her interaction with her family, church members, friends, seniors, everyone that she engaged, it revealed a display of true, genuine, authentic care, compassion, and love. She was breathtakingly beautiful, spiritual, kind-hearted. She was compassionate, giving, possessed a love for God's people, and that's what drew me to her. Military duty brought me to Virginia. God bringing Claudia into my life was a special mission. My saving grace, and next to Jesus, was definitely the best thing that has happened to me.
The day my mom told me that we were going to get a foster child, I was so excited. Whitney and Sonata were always so close in age, so they were doing everything together. Finally, someone to do everything with. I remember planning in my head, like going to the mall, getting ice cream, staying up all night watching movies. When Chrissy came, that's not exactly what I got at first. We didn't really get along too much, but when Brittany and Jordan came, it became the four of us. We started doing everything together. We would stay up late watching Harry Potter, baking cookies, and we found common ground. We would laugh all the time and play, and it was just fun. I felt like they became my new best friend. So it wasn't exactly the friendship that I had in my head, but it was the friendship that I needed all along.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I love my family, but Dan really is my baby sister.
When Brittany, Jordan, and Chrissy first came, it was an adjustment period. I remember being embarrassed to go out with them to eat because their table manners sucked. I also remember carrying around diaper bags for full-blown big kids. I always commended my mom for adopting 3 kids with disabilities. When I look at where they come from to where they are now, I can't help but to admire their growth.
When my mom first mentioned that she wanted to become a foster parent, I really didn't think too much about it. Honestly, I don't think I thought anything about it. I was actually in college away at the time, and so I think I really thought that by the time I finished college, the foster child would be gone, because I did know that fostering meant temporary placement. And so I went on pursuing my college degree. I figured by the time I got home, the child would be there, be gone perhaps, and that life would just go on pretty normally for me. However, it actually turned out the exact opposite. I graduated college, I came home, and then the foster child came. And Christy was the first foster child that my mom got. She was 14 years old at the time. And I distinctly remember the day that she came to our house. Like I said, I had just graduated from college. Christy came with the social worker, and my mom told me to take her belongings and take her upstairs and help her get settled in. So I went straight into big sister mode, not an unfamiliar role, right? And I went upstairs and I began unpacking Christy's belongings, and most of them were soiled and wet. Unfortunately, she had not been receiving proper care in her last foster placement. And it took me about an hour, really the whole family about an hour, to recognize that my little poor Chrissy girl had suffered from poor hygiene and a host of other challenges as well. Combine that with the neglect and abuse that we then discovered later on, and asked me how I felt for my Chrissy girl. My heart wept for her. And it was only a matter of a few days before I realized that Chrissy was one of the sweetest girls that I had ever met. And I wanted to give her the love that she was desperately seeking and unfortunately had never had in her 14 years of living. And so I quickly realized that because she had suffered from abuse and neglect, she also had an attachment disorder. And so I'm laughing, but it's not funny, obviously. But Chrissy would follow me around the house saying, "Hey, I love you, okay?" And although I would laugh, because it was unfamiliar behavior to me, I couldn't help but say, "Hey, I love you too, okay, Chrissy girl?" Then there were times where I would wake up in the morning and she would be standing over me with her brush in her hand, asking if I could do her hair for school. Of course, I did her hair for school. I knew that having a sister meant a lot to her at this point, an older sister at that as well, because Chrissy is the oldest of her biological sisters. And so I was really eager to fill that big sister role for her, although I did start locking my room door at night. After that point, after waking up to her over my bed several mornings in a row. However, over the course of the next year, my mom did end up adopting Chrissy and her two younger siblings, who also had a host of challenges as well, combined with the neglect, the abuse, and the mental disabilities that they unfortunately suffer from. I knew that they required a lot of work that I wasn't necessarily sure my mom could handle considering her health conditions, but my mom decided that it was the best thing for her to do out of love. And so we pulled together as a family to support her decision of adopting Chrissy, Jordan, and Brittany. And their transformations, again, did require work, but 10 plus years later, Chrissy's still gonna follow you around. Jordan is gonna talk your head off, and Brittany is gonna give you a little sass. But those are my girls, period.
I love my mama, and my mama is my everything.
She means that.
I'm so grateful for the way my mom loves me. Because she cares, I am graduated with a standard diploma and not a special diploma.
Claudia was previously a foster parent to the girls. She petitioned the court and was approved as the girls' adoptive mother. The girls carried Claudia's maiden name. As Claudia and I discussed the future, which included our daughters and our blended family, I wanted the girls to have the same last name of their new parents. I loved them as if they were my own biological daughters as well. Claudia and I married and petitioned the court collectively for adoptive rights for the girls as their parents. This was a prayerful decision and one of the best decisions of our lives.
I started Frankie's Customs, my custom clothing line, in July of 2018 in my bedroom. It was just fun at first. I was practicing, picked up some tools from Walmart, needle and thread and some fabric, and I started sewing things together. I would have Brittany and Jordan and Chrissy try on the clothes, play music, and they would model for me. And then I would be like, okay, let's show mom. So we would go in her room and we would practice walking back and forth like they were on the runway. Mom really hyped me up. She was like, okay, girl, I see you. And that really encouraged me to keep going. So I kept sewing. I kept doing that. We would have our little fashion shows and it became so much fun. I always thought modeling was my real passion, but it turned out to be Frankie's Customs and doing sewing. I started posting on social media, and a producer from Miami Fashion Week saw and offered me a position in the show. So when I told mom, she was like, oh yeah, we're going. From there on, she became my momager. We started traveling all over the world. New York was my favorite place to go, by the way. So doing that, it honestly just became a lifelong dream of mine, doing fashion shows, photo shoots. I ended up working with a few celebrities and things really started taking off. I got offered a feature in She magazine, and that was in Barnes and Nobles, and I'll never forget that day. Me and Mom walking in there and she's like, "This is you." And I was like, so it was just really amazing, all the great things that happened. And Mom, she really supported me. She paid for every trip we went on. So I really appreciate her for that. And she also just managed all of the clients that I had. She was just there for me nonstop the entire time. And that's how Frankie's Custom started.
Hi, you guys. This is Judy J from Bad Girls Club, Oxygen Network, and a ton of other stuff, including Frankie's Custom photo shoot. In 2019, I was hired to model her brand new clothes, and they were so beautiful. Even though Miss Claudia had just had surgery, she was with us every step of the way, literally. Look at the pick of these steps. Bomb, right? I love her so much. They put me in the Jefferson Hotel. It was absolutely beautiful. And they took me out to dinner to this hibachi place. It was so delicious. Seriously, I had so much fun. She's so bomb, I even wanted her to be my manager. She's amazing, and I love her so much. They literally became my family.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tiffany D. Tyson. Some of you may know me and some of you may not, but that's me. So I was asked a very important question. How did I meet Miss Claudia Massey? And guess what? I have some very important answers for you. She and I met briefly in 2017 in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. So you may be wondering, where is Rocky Mount? It's about 45 minutes from Raleigh, North Carolina. But we met at my event, the Young Ladies Empowerment Series, produced by my company, Tyson Multimedia, Inc. Her daughter, Zaydra, was participating in the event as a fashion model for my very special gift. 12-year-old Egypt Ufale, also known as one of the youngest fashion designers to showcase at New York Fashion Week. Yes, New York Fashion Week. Now, this was our third conference, and now we produced this conference to empower girls ages 8 to 18. How do we empower them? By building leadership skills, increasing self-esteem, and encouraging wellness, entrepreneurship, and focusing on STEAM, science, technology, engineer, art, and math. Now, it's during this event where girls see other teen girls and women who look like them, which motivates them to say, if they can achieve their goals in life, I can do the same.
When we married in 2015, it was the best day of my life. I had a true friend, confidant, and a helpmeet to love me and care for me as much as I love and care for her. With the good times and challenging times, with God as our center, she has unequivocally been my rock. For her love and being my life partner, I'm truly, truly grateful.
Becoming a caregiver wasn't a role that my mom chose freely. She really just needed a job as she transitioned out of her last marriage. But naturally, she's a nurturer, so she made for a perfect caregiver. Eventually, specific clients were requesting her from the agency that she worked for at the time. And ultimately, she landed a private duty case with a client where she only had to take care of one lady full time. She and this specific client developed such a very close relationship. Her client began to love her like a daughter. She was with her for 5 years until she passed away from cancer. And then my mom was, tasked with trying to decide how she would then return to the workforce, whether she would go back and work for the agency, try to get another full-time private duty case. But really, it came down to my mom being inspired to start her own agency. After she stopped working for this lady full-time after she passed away from cancer, my mom still continued to get calls, actually from strangers, who were asking her to come and take care of their loved ones. She had had such a huge impact on everyone she had worked with that people were constantly referring her to other people who were looking for a great caregiver to take care of their family members. And so my mom asked me about starting a home care agency, and I was proud of her for her inspiration and motivation to start a home care agency, but I wasn't quite enthused about her asking me to be her business partner. I was pretty young at the time, only 24 years old. I was working full time at a local nonprofit organization. I thoroughly enjoyed the work that I was doing, and I did not know how to start a business. Thinking about starting and growing a business from the ground up was pretty scary, and it was a task that I didn't necessarily want to challenge myself with. I felt overwhelmed by the process, to be honest. But it's interesting because God works in mysterious ways. He always has a plan that is bigger than our own. And nearly 8 years later, I'm sitting here as my mom's business partner when I told her over and over again, no, I don't want to be a business partner. I don't want to start a business with you. But because my mom truly has a heart for taking care of people, and she worked so hard her entire life to take care of my sisters and me, I felt like I definitely owed her enough to at least give it a try. And I'm glad I did. Obviously, it was not an easy task starting and growing a business from the ground up, but it was truly my mom's dedication, her belief in our ability to exceed is what got us this far in nearly 8 years in business. And so without her, we definitely would not have gotten this far, but I admire her so much for her tenacity, for her resilience, and for her determination to always see things through.
My mom loves to travel, and we travel a lot as a family. We go into many places, cruises, Dominican Republic, Mexico. My favorite trip of them all was my birthday trip to Antigua. My mom, she was my turn-up partner. And Zandra, she was born. She was the headache girl the whole trip. I enjoyed this trip the most because it was for my birthday, so anything I wanted to do, they had to say yes. We went zip lining. We got to swim with stingrays, and they'll probably never do that again. But I'm grateful to my mother that she's introduced us to traveling because now I travel with my son as much as I possibly can.
My grandmother passed in August of 2015, and this was a tremendous loss for the entire family, but especially for my mom, as you can imagine. I had seen her overcome some very, very, very tough battles, but trying to navigate the loss of my grandmother was no easy feat. I definitely tried to be there for her as much as I could, but grief takes a toll on you. It changes you, really. And I think my mom began to notice the changes and the impact that this loss had on her, and she was tired of feeling overwhelmed with grief, defeated by grief, and so she wanted to turn her pain into purpose, like she oftentimes likes to do, turning her pain into purpose. And that's when Rena's New Life Ministry was birthed. Rena's New Life Ministry is really a legacy organization in memory of my grandmother. My grandmother had given back to the community her entire life, personally and professionally. She too was a caregiver for 25 years. She too had taken in people who needed a home to stay in, to be loved. A mother figure, had fed them, clothed them, did everything that she could to help the next person who was in need. And so, much like my grandmother, my mom has that same exact heart. And so Rena's New Life Ministry was birthed not only to give back to the community, but to also keep the legacy of my grandmother alive. And so the ministry offers assistance to women who are undergoing domestic abuse, families, low-income families struggling to give their children the Christmases that they deserve. It provides a back-to-school backpack drive. It gives tuition assistance to students who are attending Christian education in North Carolina, where my grandmother once taught. And it also provides an annual stipend to a deserving college student every year. And it also does so much more. All of these initiatives are fully funded by my mom. She gives and gives and gives out the goodness of her own heart. And so this organization was a way again for my mother to really keep my grandmother's legacy alive and to turn that grief into something positive, to create new life, if you will. Not only for my mom, as she still continues to grieve the loss of my grandmother, but create new life for those who are struggling and benefit from the services that my mom provides through Rena's New Life Ministry.
Wow, Rena's New Life Ministry. I can definitely see why Claudia started this ministry in honor of her mother. I can remember I was in a car wreck back in 2001, and I had only known Miss Rena for a short time. She worked at the daycare center that my daughter was going to. And it was around Christmas time, and I was out of work. I had 2 kids and 1 on the way. And Miss Rena came over to my house. She came with 2 carloads. And Claudia was in one of those carloads. That's how I met Claudia. But when I tell you Miss Rena came, she brought food. Enough food to feed my family for Christmas. They bought gifts to go under my tree. They even bought monetary gifts. This is stuff that my own church family didn't even do at the time, and I was like, wow, Miss Rena only knew me through my daughter, just a short period of time, but her heart, that heart of hers, she knew that I was in need, and it didn't matter if I was a church member of hers or somebody she just met. She came and she met that need, and I am forever grateful for that. After that, me and Claudia became friends. We've been friends ever since. Our girls went to pre-K together. And like I said, we have been friends ever since. I can definitely see why Claudia started this for her mother. She is the splitting image of her mother. She has the heart of gold as well. In 2019, that's when me and Claudia became really close. We started traveling, going on trips. Her birthday trips, we went to Jamaica, we went to Bahamas, we went Atlanta, Georgia. We was going all and travel all across the world. Me and Claudia, we always talking on the phone with each other, checking on one another. We set goals. We FaceTime each other when she get her transfusions. I love her.
One thing my sister knows publicly shared is her gift for seeing things. She knows when it's going to happen before it even happened. She even blessed me in the past with many numbers that help me win money. You may be confused, so I can use some example. She's a seer. She told me the day before my aunt passed that she was going to pass. She seen the accidents and who was in the accidents a day or 2 before it even happened. One day she told me that it was a snake on the doorstep. So when I opened the door, there the snake was. She has a very unique gift.
Birthdays were a huge deal for my grandmother. I remember one time she called me on March 1st and said, Miss Witt, you didn't call me and wish me a happy birthday month today. I said, Grandma, today is March 1st. She said, I know. You know I celebrate my birthday all month long. Her birthday wasn't until March 30th. And don't you dare call her afternoon on her birthday, because she would tell you, the day is over with now. You had all day to call me on my birthday. But one thing my mom did was be sure to give my grandma her flowers while she was still here. She celebrated my grandma all month long, just like my grandma expected. So when my grandmother passed, the celebration continued. My mom knows that my grandmother was too great of a light to ever let it dim out, even after her passing. So in 2021, in the middle of the pandemic, my mom hosted a virtual concert for what would have been my grandmother's 70th birthday. She had some of my grandmother's favorite gospel artists on the virtual concert, like the Tally Boys, formerly the Keynote, and gospel legend Pastor Luther Barnes. My grandmother used to be a gospel promoter, and she would actually book these artists back in the 90s and early 2000s. It was a Holy Ghost time in the house, y'all. We had a good time for my grandmother's 70th birthday party. She would have definitely been proud. All the ticket sales benefited Rena's New Life Ministry in order for my mom to continue giving back to those in need.
Listen, I want you to know that this woman Claudia Massey is a great woman of God. She is a person of integrity. She is an innovative person. She's an entrepreneur person. She's a loving and caring person. She loves people. She loves to help people. And she's a writer, an author. Especially one of my favorite books is How to Reclaim Your Life. Man, that is an amazing book. I met Claudia back in the 80s. Her mother was a gospel quartet promoter, Miss Rena. Oh man, we used to love to go there, and oh man, she always had food and everything. It was awesome. I met them back in the 80s. We used to come there and do concerts. And Miss Rena was just a loving person. Matter of fact, the whole family is loving, and even Claudia, even now, she took it after her mother. Claudia still helps a lot of people, even from the books that she writes. Not only does she help people inside of her circle, but she helps people outside of the circle. She helps people, especially other writers, and she has a conglomerate of things going on now, even with other writers. She has a television show. I mean, she doesn't stop. She's like the energetic bunny. She keeps going. So, and then after the 80s, we reconnected during the pandemic. I started doing morning prayer, and her and her husband, James, used to come on, and they came on and actually encouraged me to help encourage other people. And she says, listen, why don't you do a virtual concert? I said, wow. And then we actually put it together, and it was in honor of her mother. We had some great artists on there, and it would just turn out to be grateful. And then we started something called Quartet Unstoppable. It just grew and grew and grew. We just thought about doing this concert. And then Quartet Unstoppable came up, and we said, we're going to have a contest. We're going to have some people to come in and do the videos. And we had a winner, this young group from Miami, Florida, called the Ziegler Family. Amazing. I think the lead singer was about 14 or 15. She played drums and sang lead. I'm talking about professional. Oh my God. But anyway, it went on from there. She also been doing some concerts in her town where she lives in Richmond. She just does so many amazing things. If you don't know Claudia Massey, you need to know her. Listen, and she loves singing. She loves music, and she tells me I'm one of her favorite artists, but anyway, this is one of her favorite songs. I've been down in the water, and I've been baptized. Now my soul is clean. With God, I'm satisfied. Love you, Claudia.
Well, hello. My name is Apostle Dr. Burl Howard, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here today. I want to talk to you about Lady Claudia Massey. I had the opportunity to meet her at the Preach the Word Worldwide TV Network banquet. And I was so excited about the banquet and get an opportunity to meet some wonderful people that attend this yearly banquet in Atlanta, Georgia. So after meeting Claudia, the Lord allowed us to reconnect again. Claudia was so awesome in giving my artists that I represent, national recording gospel artists, as well as film producers, an opportunity to be interviewed on her platform. Now, many people don't open up their platform, so it was a blessing that she said to me, I would love to interview you as well as your artists and those film producers on the platform. So interview we did, but the relationship did not stop there. You know, God has a way of divinely connecting you, divinely hooking you up with people. And you know that it's for more than that one time that you may have met them. And so that is pretty much what has happened with Claudia and myself. Because afterward, we had the opportunity to work together. When she came up and she covered, she's a woman of her word. She came up and she covered the movie debut of our 4th season of the #1 hit show on All Black called Double Cross. And you know, a lot of people say they're going to come and do X, Y, Z, but what I know about Miss Claudia, if she says she's going to do it, she does it. She said to me, "Apostle, I love your preaching." She said, "You know what? Me your calendar. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to armor bear you. I'm going to support. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to assist you so your load can be easier." And so she meant that. She went with me as the Lord has been allowing me to go preach across the globe. And I am so grateful because she came on her own time and she supported me when I most needed the support. And I mean, a lot of people won't do anything like that. That is such a rare thing. So I thank God for Claudia, but it didn't stop there with Lady Claudia Massey. She attends regularly our prophetic prayer line, in which she has been very instrumental in playing a vital role as a prayer warrior every Monday night. She is committed to come on and pray with us and to undergird many Christians and many hurting people and people who just need us to cry out. This is the type of woman Lady Claudia is. But it doesn't stop there. Now, there's a health class I teach called Your Health is Your Wealth, because it is. And she's in my health class. And I said, my God, Lord, this woman really honors her word. And so she's been a faithful student week after week after week, learning how to take care of her temple and be the best Lady Claudia Massey she can be. Now, you're probably saying, "Oh, Apostle, you're making all these things up." No, I'm not making it up. First and foremost, you just can't get into my circle. I prayed about who walked closely with me. I prayed about who I connect with. And I just don't let any and everybody just trail with me. Last but not least, as if she hasn't already done enough, she was very instrumental in honoring many of my family members who were worthy, as well as some of my clients, of receiving their Lifetime Achievement Award. She lit up faces as God used her to unselfishly bless people who had worked in their fields as philanthropy and missionaries and givers for years. How many people? An uncle of mine, 81 years old, 61 years, in the top field capacity as a leader among the police force. That was one of the people that she decided to honor. A man who has worked for president and all types of great men and women of God. So again, this is an honor to be here and to talk about Lady Claudia Massey.
One thing we can say about Claudia Massey is that we met her back in 2021. We became the winners of Quartet Unstoppable. When we met her, it just seemed like we were just meeting a family member that we hadn't met yet. She greeted us with hugs and kisses and a smile. And you just get the feeling of love when you're around.
And especially when we heard these bills. And just crowd was harder because she had us to come and full on our event. And she just made everything a special day for us that day.
Another thing I appreciate about Miss Claudia Massey, she always would comment underneath the Ziegler family posts. She will always text us, give us encouraging words, always let us know that she's watching us, that she supports us to keep going. She'll give us phone calls, checking up on us to make sure that we doing okay, that we keep on going for the Lord. So Miss Claudia is just that person, that special person to have in your life, someone who you can call and depend on or encourage your word.
Another thing, she treats us like as if we're her nieces and nephews. So I like the fact that we are like literally family towards her.
One more thing is she's nice to us, and she took us out to eat, and we sung in the restaurant. Another thing, and that started with her husband. I watched him on the Facebook channels, and the connection between those two is loving. So kind of make me a little jealous because I need to do that for my wife. So keep doing what you do, Miss Claudia. We love you.
How we met Claudia Massey was we entered into a competition called Quartet Unstoppable. And in this competition, we had to submit a video. And we were going to have people voting on the videos, and whoever won was going to get a chance to have a single that was going to be produced by Miss Claudia Massey and Mr. Ray Raswell Jr. And so we wind up being the winners. And we flew out to Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and we met Miss Claudia in person at the studio. And she just greeted us with love and smiles, and we just, we felt like family. And so it was a pleasure to not only win the competition, but then to get a single and be in the studio with people who showed us love from the time we walked in the door. And we just want to say, Miss Claudia Massey, thank you. Congratulations on everything that you have put your hands to, because it seems like everything you touch turns to gold. And we just want to say that we love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you for being in our life.
Lady Massey, she is a woman of her word. Let me tell you something. She has opened up her platform to many of my clients. Just to give you an example, for Saunders, that Sunday best survivor who is waiting on a kidney and every day has given his life to the Lord and trusting and believing that God is going to take care of him. You may remember him from a millions, did not make it, but I am one of the ones who did. In addition to that, she has interviewed Titus Showers. My God, he's had a #1 hit, and he's way up there on the charts right now. And the 2-time #1 hit artist, Jokia Williams. Many of you all know her from Yahweh. And her second #1 hit recently called Let Him In. But you know what? She didn't stop in the USA with my client. She went all the way to the beautiful island of Bermuda, and she introduced Last Call to her platform. What an awesome woman of God. And she didn't stop there. She was so kind to interview some of the film producers I have been blessed to work with and manage. She had the chance to talk to Howard Gibson of Them Gibson's Film, the #1 TV show on All Black called Double Cross. And then, look, Michael Chin, a producer who's making big noise though he is in his 20s. He has that #1 hit on Tubi. He's a film producer who's just rising to the top and soon to be seen on another network. Yes, I tell you, Lady Massey is something else. You need to check her out and see what God has her doing next. Again, this is Apostle Burl, grateful from Faith Management and Talent Casting.
Miss Massey and I connected again around 2022. I think it was around either winter or fall. And she posted a flyer on her Facebook page announcing her project, an anthology about a book entitled Reclaiming My Life. And she said that she had talked about her story first in her initial book, and how she reclaimed her life from trauma and abuse. Now, despite all of this, she was also managing her own health problems. She had adopted 3 sisters, and she also had her own 3 girls at home. She was also a wife, entrepreneur, and a phenomenal visionary. Oprah, you got to meet this lady. Then you know what? After hearing about this and listening to her story, I began to really admire and respect her. And she had been through all of this, and when she asked me to participate and contribute as a behavioral health clinician, I was excited because, you know what, this project was so important. Because in clinic, as a clinician, I see many women and men who suffer from trauma, and they come to me for hope. And I was like, okay, this is a significant opportunity to partner in this collaboration, because individuals need to know that they are not alone. Others may be suffering from the same trauma or challenges, but suffering in silence. Because you know what? Who wants to share what they've been through because they're dealing with fear, embarrassment, or anger? However, when women read about other women being triumphant and overcoming their trauma in life to succeed, you know what? This sparks hope. Knowing that someone is going through the same thing that you may be living with day in and day out allows you to believe, you know what? I can get through this if they can get through this. So the title of my chapter in Reclaiming My Life is There is Hope for Healing. Now, initially, I discuss how trauma affects us mentally, emotionally, and physically. But then I also talk about the different ways that you can begin healing, because guess what? We are all unique and we all have different needs. And someone's healing journey or the process may take 6 weeks or 6 months or a year. But you know what? It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's that they're beginning the healing.
I was a co-author in Claudia's collaboration book called Reclaiming My Life. In Reclaiming My Life, we went on trips back and forth to Atlanta, Georgia, recording for her TV show. We was on a podcast called Reclaiming My Life. And after that, she did a second book called After the Storm. I also joined that book. Claudia was also my life coach. She knows that my daughter had suffered from mental illness. She was also giving me so much encouraging words, because at that time I had gone through so much and I was about to give up on my daughter. I remember in my closet I was crying, and she called at the very moment, and I told her, I was like, I'm giving up on my daughter. And she was like, no, don't give up on your daughter. She said, you know what? Have you ever been with men in relationships and they did so much stuff to you and you still gave them another chance over and over again? And once she gave me that advice and she told me that, I looked back and I was like, I can't give up on my daughter. And I thank God, because I'm still doing good with my daughter. She's great and everything is going good. So she helped me through all of what I was going through at that time. She also helped my son battling his depression. She did FaceTime, she did phone calls, she had a few sessions with my son, and she helped him get it back on the right track. So he confided in her, he trusted her, and he's so much better now, and I appreciate her.
Claudia Massey. I met Claudia through a mutual friend, and I decided to go to her Facebook and take a look around. I was instantly motivated by all of the wonderful things that she is doing to inspire people, to tell their story, to speak their truth and live in it. To know Claudia is to love her. She is an amazing person, beautiful inside and out. When I think of Claudia, I think of her as a modern day Shiro. Why? Because she motivates people and she inspires people to walk in their truth and to live it out to its fullest. After reading her book, I was so inspired to continue writing my story. I'm so thankful that Claudia and I crossed paths. She's amazing. A beautiful trailblazer she is.
Hello, I'm Shania, and I met Claudia in 2022 at my book launch event. She's vigorous and her energy was welcoming. Her spirit moved me, and I soon began to follow her on social media. There, her posts always inspirational, with the purpose to encourage and inspire others. Her love for others never falls short, as she adopted 3 beautiful sisters, offering them a home and a chance at a better life. She also gives back to the community through an organization she established, Rena's New Life Ministries. All that she does inspired me to collaborate with her on her book project, After the Storm, a book of testimonies by storm survivors. I am so proud of all that she has accomplished, inspiring me along the way. Claudia, you are a phenomenal woman, and I applaud you.
Last year, my mom randomly told the family, I think I want to put on a gospel concert. We were all like, okay. And then we knew we better get ready. Because one thing we know for sure, if Claudia says she's going to do something, she's not going to sleep until it's done. And that also means we all better get to work, okay? So my grandmother, she used to put on gospel concerts back in North Carolina. And I think my mom knew that she could start from there with the same artists that my grandmother used to work with. And so she contacted them and they were eager to go. And my mother put on a full-blown production, okay? I'm not talking the country church, clap your hands, stomp your feet, little concert. I'm talking about a full-blown production, lights, camera, action, dressing rooms, hair, makeup, setup, breakdown, ticket sales, the whole shebang, okay? And we did have a good time. Now we were tired. I ain't tell you no tales. We were tired, but I was so proud of my mom for believing in herself enough to put on this full-blown concert. And we had the Cardi Cortez, the Tally Boys, Pastor Luther Barnes, and Leandria Johnson. And she did that. She did that.
Hello, everybody. This is Luther Barnes, and I just want to say a quick word on behalf of my friend Claudia Massey. She's a wonderful lady. She's a great person to know and come from good stock. Her mother used to promote me in her area years ago, and we've already maintained a great relationship, and we work together now, and I'm very grateful for her, what she's doing in the field, gospel music and other areas. Amen. She's a wonderful lady, Miss Claudia Massey. Luther Barnes. God bless you.
Who does that? Because of a book launch, I got to be on stage with a legend like Luther Barnes? Claudia always go over and beyond.
Hello, my name is Josephine Sagini, and I'm excited to talk about my friend, Miss Claudia Massey. I met Miss Claudia about 5 years ago. We met at a church. She came to church. She started a women fellowship. She saw there was need, and she jumped right on it. She started a women fellowship, which I was excited to join. And we did, within a very short time, we did a few things. It was around Christmas time. She organized a few meetings. She organized a fundraiser for Christmas gifts for the less fortunate families in the community. And I was one of the participants who went shopping for these people. Me and Miss Claudia and another member from the Women Fellowship, we had a good time shopping. We went to lunch, courtesy of Miss Claudia, and we shopped for families. A day came, we gave out the gifts, and they were very happy. I would say Miss Claudia is very committed to church, especially to women. and also children. She organized women getaway, a few dinners with women, and also the children. She organized some for beauty, how women can take care of themselves, their beauty, and also she was very active in bringing speakers to encourage women to fellowship, to preach, to pray. She has remained a very good friend to me and to my family, and I want to say and tell the world she is very special. She does a lot of charity work. She has other organization she does, and the ministry she participates in, and she is very blessed. And she don't keep her blessings to herself. She bless others. She is very active, despite some challenges here and there, health, but she don't stay still. She gets up and go. Again, she's a very special friend because whenever you need her, she always makes time to call you, to text, to pray, and I really, really thank God for her. I can only say just a little bit of all she has been a blessing to me and other people that I know. I don't think I would do a lot of justice talking about her, but only God knows, and only God could bless her. And just to sum this up, I just have to pray that she continues to have good health, that she continues to do what she does, that the Lord continue blessing her. She has a lot of projects, and I pray that she will continue being a blessing to the community. And one last thing I can say, because I am also a Christian person, she's a Christian. We pray a lot together. And also I pray that blessing in the Bible, that is from Numbers 6:24, that says, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace." Be blessed.
So I'm also an author in Claudia's second anthology book, After the Storm. And my chapter is Perfect Peace. Because you know what? We must create healthy boundaries in our lives to maintain God's purpose, because God has a purpose for each and every one of us. And so in this book, I talk about how to do that. And the title of this book, again, is After the Storm.
I had the pleasure of meeting Claudia while working to book my husband's appearance on the Reclaiming My Life show. Having the opportunity to learn Claudia's testimony and more about her story really inspired me. So much so that I was moved to send her an email to share my story. I never shared about my trauma that I experienced in college, but Claudia has created a safe space where healing is allowed to take place, and she makes it easy for people to talk about the things that they've gone through that they don't normally talk about. And so I emailed her and I told her everything. And after I felt so free and learning more about her motivation behind Reclaiming My Life and the movement that she's created, had made me realize, or it made me realize, that I no longer had to or wanted to be silent about the things that I experienced in college. And I know that the work that she's doing will create generations of healing and change generations of families. And I'm honored to call her friend. I love to see her pursue her purpose. She's so selfless. She works tirelessly, but she's working on things of purpose. And when I think about Claudia, I think about the Proverbs 31 woman, because she's constantly working to better her family, to better her community, and better those around her. And I'm really honored to call her my friend.
My sister has experienced a lot of hurt in her life. But for someone who's been hurt so much, she only wanted to help people. As a brother, I can't be more proud of her and how she continued to allow God to use her. I know Mom will be proud too.
I've had a front row seat to the Claudia Massey story for 32 years now. All parts of it haven't been pretty. Some parts have been extremely tough. Some parts of it have been very sad. But in every part of it, my mom always finds a way to count everything joy. There are even instances where she promises God that if he brings her through one more time, that she'll bless somebody else the way he has blessed her. I just feel so extremely grateful to come from such an angel. One thing I know for sure, there is nobody else on earth quite like Claudia Massey. I'm reminded of the phrase, she believed she could, so she did. That's my mom, Claudia Massey, radio host, television host, life coach, business owner, wife, grandmother, President Biden Lifetime Achievement Award honoree and host ambassador for the state of Virginia, sister, friend, best-selling author. She's had a lot to endure in her life, but thank God she has reclaimed her life.
The book of James, it tells us to count our trials joy. I've gone through many trials in my life and trauma. I overcame those trials and trauma, and I have reclaimed my life. I thank God for restoration. I don't know what you are going through or have been through in your life, but I do know that there is hope that you too can reclaim your life.